Well, thanks, Judge Robinson, for coming out here today. We appreciate you being here. We have a few questions for you, so we'll get right into it.
Thank you, Emily.
Yeah. The first one is, what event or experience from your time as judge has had the greatest impact on your decisions?
Well, the difference I've noticed, I was a prosecutor for almost 20 years, and as a prosecutor I was an advocate, and I went and tried cases, and I was advocating for the state of Ohio. And that was my job, and my job was to attempt to convince a jury that an individual was guilty of a crime. That's changed somewhat in my role. Now I'm a judge, and as a judge, I'm not an advocate for either side. What my job is, what my function is to make sure that both sides get a fair trial, and that's what I do. And I rule on objections, and I make sure that the outcome is fair, and make sure that the jury is instructed in such a way that the outcome is fair so that the jury can make an informed decision.
Do you have any recommendations for improving court procedures and efficiency?
What I've tried to do since I've gotten there and become judge in February of this year is I've sped up the process by when cases are filed to when they are finally disposed of. And a final disposition means we've rendered a verdict or there's been a ruling in the case that ends the case. And people need that to happen in a quicker manner. We hear that the wheels of justice grind slow, and they do because we don't want to make mistakes. We want to make sure the job gets done right. We want a fair and just result. But we also want people to be able to get on with their lives. And in cases, when you're involved in a lawsuit, it kind of distracts and it's something that weighs heavily on you. So you want to get a final, just, permanent result. And since I've been there, I've been able to increase efficiency by getting the cases moving quicker. The other thing I've been able to do is actually in-court time. Most attorneys are paid by the hour, and they're paid by how much time they spend in court. So if we have court in the afternoon, and I can get through court in 3 hours as opposed to 4 or 5, that makes it less expensive for the clients, less expensive for the taxpayers if the taxpayers are footing the bill for an indigent defendant, which is most cases the people I see are indigent. They can't afford an attorney, so they get one appointed for them. I try to be thorough but efficient and get through court quicker because I want to make sure that I'm saving the taxpayers' money.
You mentioned your experience, and I was wondering, have you identified any cases that you feel should be addressed as a social issue? And if so, what steps have you or will you take to deal with this issue?
The cases that I deal with as a common pleas court judge is I deal with felony offenses. So felony offenses are offenses where you could be sent to prison. I only deal with misdemeanors if they're attached to a felony. Most misdemeanors go across the street to Mansfield Municipal Court. The other kind of case I deal with is civil cases with disputes over $15,000. So we'd be dealing with car accidents or cases where people are suing each other over large amounts of money. We also deal with foreclosure cases, and we have a foreclosure program where we try to keep people in their house if they can afford to stay. If they can't afford to stay in the house, we try to get them out of the house. We try to get the house sold before someone breaks in and vandalizes the house. Some of the programs we run as far as like social aspects is I run a drug court. Judge Henson started a drug court, nationally recognized drug court, and we have almost a 70% graduation rate in the drug court. I'm looking to improve that. I've looked into medically assisted treatment options with getting physicians involved, but that's just one component. We're taking a cautious approach, but we'd have to have the person seen by a physician, and the physician would make recommendations about whether or not medication would be appropriate. But we are open to that idea, and we are going that route if the physician is okay with that. The last court we run, people who get out of prison have a hard time adjusting to life back on the streets, and there's a danger that those people will end up back in prison. So we have a reentry court where we try to get them employment, try to get them, if they have any mental health issues, we try to get those treated. We try to get them stable living, so they're not breaking into somewhere to find a place to sleep at night. Because we want to give those people the best chance at succeeding and having them not go back to prison, which is a problem nationally, but we have about an 80% success rate of people making it through the first year after they've been in prison, not going back. The last thing we do is we do a lot of jury trials in common pleas court. Most of the jury trials that happen in Richland County happen in Richland County Common Pleas Court. And because I have that experience as a prosecutor and tried over 60 felony jury trials, that's been a great benefit to me because, again, we do jury trials, and juries are the fairest way to have a result. There's nothing fairer than bringing a group of citizens from the community who don't know anything about the case and letting them decide the case. You can't blame somebody in Washington, D.C. for that decision or somebody in Columbus. The folks in this community, the ladies and gentlemen of this community, are going to make the decisions in jury trials.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Judge
Thank
Robinson.
you.
That's all the questions we had. This is Emily Dech with Richland Source.